right, my clock says 12, so let's kick it off. I'm expecting we'll have some other folks join kind of during the presentation, and that's great. We can always share the recording with them. So thanks to everyone who's here. My name is Sarah Aird, and I'm the Policy Director with the Statewide Coalition Californians for Pesticide Reform, or CPR. CPR is a statewide coalition of more than 210 organizations. We were founded in 1996 to fundamentally shift the way pesticides are used in California. And our mission is to protect public health, improve environmental quality, and support a sustainable and just agricultural system by building a diverse movement across California to change statewide and local pesticide policies and practices. Our member organizations include public health, children's health, educational and environmental advocates, clean air and water organizations, health practitioners, environmental justice groups, labor organizations, farmers, and sustainable agriculture advocates. We're really excited today to have the opportunity to introduce, or in some cases, reintroduce, for some of you, the new precedent-setting online agricultural pesticide mapping and notification tool for California, otherwise known as Spray Days. This is a tool that is hosted by the California Department of Pesticide Regulation, and we're really fortunate to have Juvenio Guerra, Spray Days California outreach lead here, who will do the bulk of presenting on the tool itself. Following Juvenio's presentation, we will hear from Sekira Mascal, California Policy and Advocacy Lead for PAN, the Pesticide Action and Agroecology Network. She'll introduce another incredible resource that's maintained by PAN called pesticideinfo.org. And that resource, in conjunction with Spray Days, allows you to learn a bit more information about individual pesticides that you may become interested in as you use the Spray Days tool to learn what pesticides are being planned for use near you or near anyone else in the state. But before we get started, I wanted to go through just a few housekeeping items. We are recording this training and hope we can use it to help spread the word about these important tools. And for that reason, I initially turned everyone's video off and audio off while we run through the presentations. I ask that everyone remains muted until we get to the question and answer portion of the meeting. Once we've concluded with these two short presentations, we should have ample time for everyone to ask questions. And during the presentations, feel free to put your questions in the chat. Once we get to the question and answer period, you can always turn on your audio and or your video if you're comfortable with that. Raise your hand and you can ask a question directly of either Juvenio, Sekira, myself, or any of the rest of our CPR team who are participating today. Mark Weller, CPR's interim co-director, is helping to monitor the chat for any clarification questions that need to get addressed actually during the presentations. And Jane Sellen, CPR's development director, is supporting behind the scenes. So before we get to the substantive portion of the training, I also want to note that today's training is being conducted only in English and is intended primarily for organizational allies. Californians for Pesticide Reform staff and our coalition member groups are regularly conducting trainings for community members around California, both in English and in Spanish, especially in the San Joaquin Valley and the Central and South Coast. And as so long as there's interest, we do plan to hold another training like this one for organizational allies in Spanish. Juvenio himself has also been doing trainings around the state as a representative of the Department of Pesticide Regulation. And we want to make sure that everyone here knows that he's a resource and you can request your own DPR-led trainings on Spray Days in English and or Spanish from him as well. So jumping now into the substance, before I turn it over to the main part of our presentation, starting with Juvenio, I'm just going to give a little bit of context about the Spray Days notification system and how we got here. So the Spray Days mapping and notification system represents literally years in the making and is a significant statewide community victory that builds upon decades and decades of right-to-know work led by people working in and living near fields. From Rachel Carson's famous Silent Spring to winning skull and crossbones signs in the fields to more elaborate postings that we have in the fields today, to local notification systems for schools in the Monterey Bay region, to incredible push in Kern County to have communities benefit from the same kind of notification systems developed for growers in Kern County, along with many other efforts that have contributed to what we're going to be talking about today, the Spray Days tool. Hundreds of local and regional organizations, along with community members, have been critical to this effort, which was collectively organized by the statewide Californians for Pesticide Reform Coalition. And although I literally cannot name all the organizations because it is no joke, hundreds, we did want to just name a small group that have been very involved, often from the very beginning of this work, just to acknowledge their contributions. So that includes Safe Ag, Safe Schools, Center on Race, Poverty, and the Environment, Central California Environmental Justice Network, Committee for a Better Shafter, Committee for a Better Arvin, Comité Progreso de Lamont, Delano Guardians, Valley Improvement Projects, Californians Advocating for Pesticide Safety in Tulare County, CAPS 805, the Monterey Bay Central Labor Council, Future Leaders of Change, Center for Farmworker Families, and California Nurses for Environmental Health and Justice, along with many hundreds more. The development of this system has truly been a collective statewide effort. So a few things that I want to say right off the top about the Spray Days mapping and notification system. Community members had to push for many of the critical aspects of the system, and it really is literally globally precedent setting. Although there are a few other advanced pesticide notification systems in existence in the world, to our knowledge, this is the only one that allows the public to go online without having to register or provide any information and can learn about upcoming planned agricultural pesticide applications. Having said that, as a first of its kind agricultural pesticide notification and mapping system, there are some important current limitations to note up front about the tool. Among the most significant are that although the tool provides information about planned use of restricted material pesticides down to the 1 mile by 1 mile section, it currently does not identify the exact field location of where applications are expected to occur. And that makes it more challenging for community members to protect their own health, such as by avoiding the area around the actual field where an application is occurring. A second item, and there are more, that a second item that's challenging is the tool provides notifications only for agricultural restricted material pesticides. So there are many pesticides that are used in California. This tool is really focused on those pesticides that have been identified as being the most hazardous and capable of harm to humans and the environment. So it's a really critical and a really important tool, and there are some limitations. Fortunately, because of community demand, there's also a significant window of opportunity to identify additional improvements that we want to make with this tool. And so I want to make sure that everyone here, as you learn about the tool and as you use it, please keep in mind that we want to work with you to make the tool even better. So you can always reach out to us with additional suggestions. You can even make suggestions right now in the chat or when you raise your hand. But wanted to make sure that everyone here is aware of that. There will be a period of time over the next few years where we can make some additional strong changes to the tool. Even with the limitations that do currently exist, people are finding this tool really helpful in a number of ways. It's helping to raise awareness of planned pesticide use. We've had groups self-organize already and are creating response networks to share what they're learning on a daily basis about the pesticides that are being used around them. It gives people an opportunity to take their own precautions, especially for people who are particularly sensitive to know to close windows, maybe not hang out laundry that day, bring in kids' toys, that sort of thing. It also gives opportunities for potential research into connections between health impacts in communities and pesticide use, helping to identify exposure patterns, hotspots, and again, really helpful for organizing. So I just wanted to give you a little bit of a sense of like why this tool matters, but the most important part of this meeting is actually what we're about to turn to. So I'd like to turn it over to Juvenio to actually give an idea of what this tool is. So Juvenio is going to walk us through what Spray Days is, what it looks like, and how to actually use it in real time. Thanks so much, Juvenio, and please share.
Great. Thank you. Can everybody hear me okay? Cool. So hopefully you're seeing the Spray Days presentation slide here. Um, so thank you for having me join this meeting. It's very cool to be able to share this tool with everybody. The more people I can share this with, the better. Um, so I understand that there is a varying degree of how familiar you may be with Spray Days California. So I will cover some of the basics. I'll try and show you how the website works more or less, and then at the end, definitely happy to answer any kind of questions you may have, especially if you're already very familiar with it. So Spray Days California, let me just move this here. Um, like Sarah was saying, it's the first and only statewide pesticide notification system. As far as we know, there's no other statewide system like this that's providing accessible and timely info about restricted material pesticides ahead of time. So again, just want to emphasize is this right now as the system exists, it's only for restricted material pesticides used mostly in production agriculture. And we launched the system on March 24th, 2025. Some of you were there. We kicked things off in the community of Shafter in Kern County. So it's been 4 months now since we've launched, 4 months of truly actually just learning a lot from folks in the community that have been using it and finding different ways to stay informed, et cetera. And we are actually keeping a number of tabs on how folks are engaging with the system. So we're 4 months in at this point of something that has not been done before. Why do spray days matter? Again, just to kind of reiterate what Sarah mentioned, this is community informed, community driven. Um, every chance that I get, I do like to tell people where this came from, how this came about. Of course, it's been years in the making, but it's also very specific to a lot of the advocacy that happened in places like Kern County. And so this tool is a result and a response to that community advocacy. It's providing real-time access to the pesticide applications that are scheduled. Um, Prior to this, the there was a system in place, obviously, for growers or applicators to notify their county ag commissioner about any scheduled or intended pesticide applications. But if anybody in the community wanted to find out, they would have to go to the county ag commissioner's office to get that info. What Spray Days does is it takes that info, which now requires those notifications to be 100% digitized so that we can take all that info and simultaneously post it on the Spray Days website so that folks actually have access to that information and are able to make more informed decisions or at least are able to increase their awareness about what's happening around them. And one of the things we really wanted to focus on for this system specifically is we wanted to make it uh, simple to use and accessible to a number of different communities, particularly providing different language options. Uh, Here's a quick look at the Spray Days website for those of you that haven't seen it. Obviously, when you're looking at it in desktop mode, it looks a little different than when you're looking at it on your mobile. Um, the way I like to look at it is there are four main components of what the website is providing folks. Uh, Number one is the real-time pesticide map, which will map out every scheduled restricted material pesticide application across the state. And you can take a look at that, see all the details in an anonymous fashion if you want. You don't have to sign up. You don't have to provide any info. You can just go on the map anytime you want and see what's around you or what's around any area that you're interested in. Then we also have, of course, the option to sign up. People can sign up for notifications either to their email or uh, cell phone or both. And then we also have a lot of resources on the website. We have an FAQ section that's constantly expanding based on what people want to know. And then we also have a community health tip section for people that want to take additional steps around pesticide safety. So this really is not just a way for us to inform and be transparent about the applications that are happening, but We also want to take advantage of the site and take advantage of the notifications so that we're also providing additional context about how pesticides are regulated and used in California for anybody that wants to dive in even further and wants to look at the regulations or what certain things mean on the website or what kinds of pesticides we're tracking on the website. So we're hoping to make this not only a notification tool, but also a resource for anybody that wants to learn a lot more. Um, the key features, like I said, it's the map with all of the upcoming and even recent pesticide applications, the opportunity to opt in for notifications if you want them directly in your email or text. And then again, staying informed with a lot of resources on the site. When you actually do get a notification or you look up a notification on the map, we are providing the following details. That notification will tell you the intended date and time of the application, the product name and active ingredients, the method and the number of acres covered, the EPA registration number, and it will show you a highlighted section location within where the application is happening within a 1 by 1 mile section. And I'm actually going to show you the site right now. So let me stop sharing real quick. I'm going to dive into the website so you can actually see it. Okay, so hopefully you're able to view the website here. Um, this is the website live right now. And this is what it looks like on the desktop version. And then this is what it looks like when you're on mobile. When you're on mobile, obviously things are a little more up close. The menu works a little differently when you're on mobile, but it has all the same options as when you're looking at it on the desktop. So again, as a pesticide map, opportunity for folks to sign up, and a lot of resources, FAQs, and other fact sheets and helpful contact info for folks that are looking to learn more. 1 second. Okay. So off the bat, I think the main feature of the website is the pesticide map, which as you can see, here's a map of California. Every single purple dot on this map represents scheduled restricted material pesticide applications in that area. And so you're either able to zoom in by clicking on these dots and taking a look at what's around you. Eventually, when you zoom in all the way, you'll get this grid, which every section on this grid is a 1 by 1 mile section. And you can click on any of these scheduled applications that you may be interested in. So again, you can zoom in, zoom out, drag the map, even click on the county, and it'll take you to the closest notification in that county, or it'll tell you how many scheduled applications are in that county. You can also, if you have an address, for example, I'm going to use just as an example here. I'm going to use the Wasco City Hall address. I can type that in. This could be your home address, could be your work address, could be school address, could be any address that you want. You can put it in the map and it'll take you immediately to that section. Obviously, you can see the pin drop here, but there are no numbers and there's nothing around this area. So what this means is that currently there are no scheduled applications in this area, but you can always zoom out or explore the map a little bit. And then when you zoom out, you'll notice that there are actually some somewhat nearby. There are a couple here in Shafter, and then there's one over here to the west of Wasco. So if you were to click on this, for example, again, this is the most zoomed up version. You get a grid of 1 by 1 mile sections. You can click on this if you want to know what this application actually is. You can click on it, and all of the information will pop up in a little box on the right-hand side. It'll tell you the product name, which is Talon C15, the actual name of the ingredients, application method. In this case, it's fumigation, the number of acres, And then when it's scheduled for July 24th at 5:45 a.m. And then it'll give you links also if you want to get more info either about the product or about community health tips, or if you want to go directly to DPR's website to learn more about these particular ingredients, you can do that too. Um, so again, this is the notification here on the left in this box with the number 1 on it. But also, if for any reason there were any recent applications within the same section, you'll also be able to see that immediately below. And according to regulation, growers and applicators have a 4-day window to actually go through with their pesticide application, because sometimes things vary according to weather or any other changes. So if for any reason there were any other pesticide applications scheduled within the past 4 days in this section here, you will also be able to see that. In this case, there was one scheduled for the 19th, which was a couple days ago, and it'll tell you what it was. Here was another one that was scheduled yesterday. So not only do you have an idea of what's coming up, but you also have an idea of what has been done recently in the past 4 days. So that's kind of the gist of being able to search and look and see what the actual uh, pesticide applications are in areas that you may be interested in. And then, of course, you can go sign up. Um, we are doing our best to make the sign up process as easy as possible without needing to provide too much detailed information. Pretty much all you have to do is choose whether it's text and email or just text. Then you can provide an address. It could be any address that you have in mind. Again, it could be your home, school, work, or anything else that you may want to track. You can actually track up to 10 different addresses once you sign up. And you just put that address in there, your preferred contact method, whether it's phone or email, and then what language you want to get those notifications in. Uh, the website itself comes in dozens of different languages thanks to Google Translate. And actually, the Spanish version we translate in-house to make sure it's as correct as possible. But the notifications are right now we have 16 different languages available. You can see them here. These are the most common in agriculture areas. We're always expanding, but right now we have 16 available for notifications. So that's for text or email notifications. And then once you go through the sign up process, just to confirm your phone or email, you have an option to log in and manage your notifications. And then you also have an option to check out the different user manuals, which has fact sheets, tutorial videos, a whole bunch of other resources if you're having trouble navigating the site or signing up for more addresses, etc. So again, we also have an FAQ that we've been expanding recently. A common question, for example, is schools. People want to know about what's allowed near schools. I can just type a keyword and it'll take me immediately to any questions that's related to that keyword. So in this case, I type in schools, and one question we get a lot is, are pesticide applications allowed near schools? And so here in detail, we kind of give folks a summary of the regulations for pesticide applications near schools, the minimum distance restrictions, et cetera, in case anybody wants to understand and take a closer look at what is allowed near schools, or if people have like very simple questions like what is restricted material pesticide, for example, they can just type restricted, and it'll take you to that question. It'll answer, give you a little more context about what these restricted materials that we're tracking actually are, and so on. And again, this is available in all the different languages, depending on what you're viewing on your browser. So we also have community health tips if folks want to take additional measures as to like tips as to what to do, or if they want to learn more about the pesticide itself and what it means and what it does, and any other concerns or of exposure, stuff like that. We also have some handy contact info here in case anybody wants to report any pesticide incidents. We have info here as to how to contact their county ag commissioner to report anything that may not seem all that great happening in their communities. and just a bunch of other info about regulations and safety around pesticides. So that's more or less the website as it stands now. Again, this is what was launched 4 months ago. I personally have been working with a lot of people in primarily rural communities and getting a lot of feedback as to what's working, what could be done better, room for improvement, especially just trying to make this even simpler, more direct. So it's been really helpful to engage with folks and see how they're using the website and how they're able to sign up or even have challenges signing up. So, but this is the website as it stands today. Let me go back to my presentation. I'm happy to go back into this during the Q&A, but I also want to share some other updates with you guys. So let me go back. Okay. So again, it's been 4 months, which is a lot of time, but also not really. And it has been quite a learning experience seeing how folks are using the system for different scenarios and how they're helping others sign up. So far, since we've launched, we actually, this is funny. I checked these numbers this morning. Um, Total signups, or in other words, the number of users that are subscribed to notifications, folks that have actually gone through the process and opted in for notifications. We have, as of this morning, we have 3,333 people signed up, the majority of which, almost a 60-40 split, majority of folks are signing up on their phone, which makes sense. It's expected. Most people I've worked with and have seen using the tool are using it on their phone. Also map views, and these are the number of times that someone has actually engaged with the map. So maybe somebody who's not signed up but is just kind of visiting, browsing the map, etc. We've counted over 17,500 visits to the map, which is great because it shows that people are actually going to the map more than once to browse different areas. The top 5 counties right now, as far as number of signups, and this also has a lot to do with population sizes, of course. It's just a kind of a general idea of where folks are signing up the most. Right now are Monterey, Santa Clara, Santa Cruz, Ventura, and Fresno counties. Um, and so far, since we've launched, we've sent over 15,000 notifications to the folks that have signed up. So hopefully that gives you a better idea as to who's been using it in this early stage, or how many people have been using it. We've also made some tweaks and updates and improvements here and there. Pretty much all of them just based on user feedback, user experience, or anything we've heard from communities. We have an in-house IT team that is really great at tracking all of this and finding solutions. We made some minor improvements to the map service and the user experience to reduce address verification errors when folks are signing up. We've expanded the FAQs based on some of the questions that people wanted to know more about. Improve the FAQ search bar so that it's easier for folks to find answers to these questions. Some new fact sheets, some additional resources in Hmong, Punjabi, Tagalog, Korean, and Chinese, and then just general accessibility improvements that we made over the past 4 months. We're also really busy just doing our best to engage with anybody to raise awareness for Spray Days California. That's my job. I want everybody to know about it. I want everybody to use it. I want everybody to understand what it means and why it's important. And so obviously we've been engaging with community-based organizations, doing our best to provide materials and other support. We've been joining local meetings and events and participating in larger public gatherings. So far, as far as the large events, we've done, say, 1, 2, 3, 4. We've done 5 county fairs already. Salinas Valley, San Joaquin, Merced, Kings County, Stanislaus, where we've had brand ambassadors with iPads, engaging folks, helping them sign up, telling them about Spray Days. Many who for the first time didn't even have the slightest awareness as to what pesticide regulation actually was. So it's been really eye-opening. Reaching out to media, and then we have some ads that have been rolling out. Here are a couple quick photos of from the county fairs, just so you can see the setup on the right-hand side, kind of the booth, and then We have a step and repeat where folks can take photos once they've learned about spray days. We're also giving out bandanas and other fact sheets and materials that folks could take home. Um, Bandanas are really popular. Actually, it's kind of hard keeping those in stock. Um, as far as the media, we've had web display ads. We're now running ads on Facebook and Instagram, some radio ads, some video ads. Out-of-home ads are starting to roll out, particularly in Fresno, Monterey counties right now. Local grocery markets, food trucks. Again, we're focused most of our ad efforts in agricultural counties. Right now, they're running in English and Spanish. That includes the video, radio, everything is English and Spanish. But we're also hoping to add Tagalog, Hmong, and Punjabi ads soon in some areas. And again, if you want to learn more, if you need materials, if you want to work with me, figure out how to get folks to sign up or how to train folks that are signing people up, I'm happy to work with you, help in any way, whether it's virtual or in person. I've got a lot of materials and more that are kind of being improved and worked on and on the way, whether it's flyers or user guides, video tutorials, fact sheets, graphics. I still have some bandanas left, stuff like that. So feel free to reach out to me. And as far as like what's next, well, again, we're expanding community outreach. We want everybody to know about this. We're taking all of the user feedback that we've gotten about any challenges or anything that's working or not working during the process or what folks would like to see the system do. We're taking it very seriously. We're tracking it in detail, and we're in the process of reviewing all of this information. And of course, our goal is to continue to improve the system and make sure it's working efficiently for everybody across California. We're also going to be providing more regular updates, so more metrics, more kind of looks at how many folks are signing up, where they're signing up. That kind of information will be coming out. We'll be having more of that coming out soon, and then of course, always evaluating an improvement. We're really looking forward to what the new Environmental Justice Advisory Committee will be recommending once they're formed and set up. And any questions, you can email spraydays@cdpr.ca.gov. I'll make sure to share that in the chat. But before I finish, I just want to show you, in case you're curious or have not seen it, I'm going to show you really quick what one of the ads looks like. It's like 30 seconds, so hopefully I'm not taking up too much time, but let me, I know I'm kind of running. I know it's a lot. There's a lot happening, but I do want to show you this ad here. So give me 1 second. Hopefully, okay, so hopefully you'll be able to hear this. Let me maximize it. Okay, here we go.
Did you know you can get notified before specific pesticides are scheduled for use near your home, school, or workplace? Spray Days California helps keep you informed about scheduled pesticide applications used on farms in your community. Look online for Spray Days California to learn more.
Okay, so hopefully the sound came through. Okay, great. Oh, in 1 second. Sorry, 1 second.
I just launched their brand new My Energy.
Okay, sorry, the YouTube kept playing. Okay, so yeah, that's kind of a very quick overview and slight update on all things spray days. And I guess I'll kick it off now to Security. Thank you.
Thank you, Juvenio. Awesome presentation. All right. Hi, everybody. My name is Sakura, and like Sarah mentioned, I'm with Pesticide Action and Agroecology Network, also known as PAN. And I just wanted to supplement Juvenio's presentation with the demonstration of a tool that PAN has on our website. This tool is called the California People in Pesticides Explorer. And it was actually developed by a PhD student, but when they graduated, they were no longer able to work on the tool. So it was kindly funded by the 11th Hour Project and worked on by the Open Spatial Lab at the University of Chicago Data Science Institute, where they added some more census-based demographic information and sort of improved the tool in that way. And then it was transferred to PAN, and now it's hosted on our website. So I'm just going to share my screen and do a quick demonstration. So we're just going to lightly touch on it. Okay. Can everyone see my screen? Awesome. Okay. So in order to navigate to the California People and Pesticides Explorer tool, you're first going to go to pesticideinfo.org. And that's what it says at the top of the URL here. And then at the top of the page, you will navigate to pesticide maps, and you'll click on California People and Pesticides Explorer. And the purpose of the California People and Pesticides Explorer is really to support the notion that we have a right to know. We have a right to know what pesticides are being exposed to, what adverse health effects or outcomes are associated with those pesticides, and where do we see the most prevalent pesticide usage across the state of California. And this will just give us a nice opportunity to better protect people and the planet. So I'm going to show you how this tool works with a little bit of a real life question that I came up with yesterday. So when you navigate to the mapping tool, you'll see this quick start guide. It's just giving you a little bit of background information about the tool and asking you if you want to take a tour. But I am the tour today, so we are going to skip that component. So when you get on the pesticide map page, you will see a map of California. And I just want to say that the underlying data that informs the California People and Pesticides Explorer tool actually comes from the California Department of Pesticide Regulation pesticide use report data. And this is data that was obtained from California agricultural commissioners that collect pesticide use from pest control businesses and growers across the state of California. Now, there's a little bit of a lag time between when DPR receives the data and when it's released for public consumption, and that's about 2 to 3 years. So the most recent data that we have in our data set is from 2022. All right, so I am going to start off on the left-hand side. The left-hand side is where we filter a query for specific attributes that we're interested in learning more about. And then, of course, in the middle is the map. And so sort of the left-hand side sort of informs our output here on the map. So one of the questions that I had is, what is the distribution of pesticide usage in school districts for 1,3-dichloropropene, also known as 1,3-D or TLM? And so if I look on the left-hand side here and I see geography, if I use the drop-down menu, I have multiple options. I could choose townships, counties, school districts, tracts, sections, or zip codes. So for the purpose of this demonstration, I'm going to pick school districts. Now I'm coming to this with a question, but you don't have to. Feel free to just play around with the map. Now, when you make your first selection on the drop-down menu, you'll get this little pop-up that says, "Are you ready to apply changes?" You can ignore that until you've made all of your selections and all of your criteria selections on the left-hand side. So we're going to go with school districts. And then there's also a drop-down menu for counties. You can focus on a specific county if you'd like, but today we'll keep that blank. And then for date range, the default is for the year of 2022, but we have data that goes all the way back to 2017, but our default is 2022. So today we'll focus on January 2022 to December 2022. So we're looking at what is the pesticide use distribution across school districts in California for the year of 2022. And then under pesticide application, we can choose what type of use we're interested in. Are we interested in agricultural use of 1,3-D or non-agricultural use of 1,3-D or both? In this instance, we'll choose agricultural. But you also have the option of selecting a specific crop. It's all alphabetized, so you can choose alfalfa or almond or apples. If you're like, I know that there are specific crops that use a specific pesticide, I would love to know more about that, you can choose specific crops. For now, we'll leave that blank, but we'll come back to it later. You also can just filter by application method. So you have aerial and ground and fumigation. Aerial is when you spray the pesticides with the plane, and fumigation is when you use like a gaseous form of the pesticide to kill pathogenic soil microbes. So whichever application method that you're interested in, you can choose aerial, ground, or fumigation. And in the next section, you can choose chemical and product information. So you can filter by class if you're interested. So if you're like, I know it's a fumigant, or I want to look at all fumigants, which is like the overarching class, then I can select fumigant, but I'll leave that blank for now. Or if you know the active ingredient, you can just type in the active ingredient. I happen to know what the active ingredient is today. It's 1,3-dichloropropene. So I'm going to select that. When it turns this beautiful forest green color, that's when I know it's successfully selected. And then to sort of get out of this, you will click outside of the box. And that's when you know that it's selected. Now, not everyone knows the active ingredient for pesticides. It's totally fine. Sometimes you just know the product name. So you can just put in Telone here if that's easier for you as well and find the correct product. But we'll leave that blank today. And then we have use type. Let me zoom out a little bit. And then we have use type, which is basically like the function of the pesticide. Is it a herbicide that is going to target weeds? Is it a fungicide that's going to target fungus? And so you can also just think about the function of the pesticide and filter by that as well. So those are all of the options that you have. But we're just going to focus on 1,3-dichloropropene today. You also can filter by risk and impact. So these are all of the adverse health effects that we know of associated with these pesticides. I already know that 1,3-D is a carcinogen, which means that chronic exposure to 1,3-D could lead to the development of cancer. So I'm going to select this one, but sometimes you don't know, and this tool can actually help you figure that out, whether it's a cholinesterase inhibitor or groundwater contaminant or reproductive toxin, you can figure that out with this tool. All right, so I've selected everything that I'm interested in selecting, and now I'm going to select Apply Changes. And I see this gradient of colors here. Now, before I actually talk about the map, I want to go to the top right corner here. And this is really cool. It allows you to see your selections because sometimes maybe you forgot what you selected. So we're looking at school districts across the state of California in the year of 22 for agricultural use, for 1,3-D, and it's a carcinogen. And now that we're clear on our selections, now we can sort of focus on the gradient here. And what's great is that it's a color gradient. And yellow means, this light yellow means that about less than 5,000 pounds of 1,3-D dichloropropene were applied in the agricultural regions of that geographical region or that school district. But if you go up in the gradient in terms of color and you go into the dark red crimson color, that means that more than 77,000 pounds of 1,3-dichloropropene were applied in the agricultural region of that school district, in those agricultural regions of that school district. So I really want to focus on the dark red crimson color here, because these are the areas that have really high pesticide usage. And I just was like, well, I'd love to focus on one school district. So I just kind of looked around and decided that I wanted to focus on the Santa Maria region of California. And I thought that the Santa Maria Bonita Elementary School District looks pretty interesting. They actually apply about 197,000 pounds of 1,3-dichloropropene in this particular school district. And this begged the question of, okay, well, I wonder what crops in the Santa Maria Bonita Elementary School District have the highest 1,3-D usage. I was just, interested. That was a question that kind of popped up, which is so amazing about this tool. And so I kind of Googled, like, what crops are grown in this school district. It turns out this school district is the largest school district in Santa Barbara County. So I queried Google and said, well, what crops are grown in Santa Barbara County? And it gave me a list of different crops. And it's strawberries and cauliflower and lettuce and what have you. And so I looked at each crop on the map here. I won't do that today, but I looked up each crop. And so let's look at strawberries. And so if I go back to the left here and I look for crop or site, I'm going to type in strawberries. And then I'm going to select Apply Changes. And remember, the total amount of 1,3-D in that region was 197,000 pounds. If I go back to Santa Maria Bonita Elementary School, I'll see that 192,000 pounds of 1,3-D are applied in this school district specifically to strawberries, which means that this is one of the crops that's contributing to the highest 1,3-D usage in this school district. So that means that strawberries are making up the majority of these 1,3-D applications, which I think is very interesting. And you might ask, why would I even want to ask this question? Well, it's an opportunity for us to potentially champion alternatives. Maybe for strawberry crop growers in that region, we can elevate research that demonstrates safer yet effective, not too costly alternatives to 1,3-D that maybe allow us to integrate more of a sustainable pest management approach. And now that we know which crops to focus on, that gives us a lot of useful information. So that's one thing we could do with this tool, but you can ask all kinds of questions. And another beautiful thing that you can do is download the data. So underneath the map, you can download the data as an Excel or as a CSV. And if you know what's called the FIPS number of the school district, you can also just filter for the school district using that data. And then if you look at the top of the map, there are other tabs that we didn't get a chance to look at. So we can go to use over time. Use over time allows us to see when 1,3-D is applied over a given year. And we see that there's a peak in May and a peak in October, which gives us a lot of useful information about when this pesticide is used in agriculture. You can also go to the demographic comparison tab, where you can look at demographic or US Census data simultaneously with pesticide use data. It's one of my favorite tools. It's really amazing. So for example, on the right-hand side, the blue map is demographic data. And on the left-hand side, it's the same pesticide use data we were looking at for strawberries and 1,3-D and what have you. So on the right-hand side, if we wanted to look at the demographic characteristics, we would go to this drop-down menu that says map layer. And then we would select, what we're interested in. For this, I wanted to select % Hispanic or Latino. So you select that. And then what's really cool is you can go to the map and find the exact school district we were just looking at in Santa Maria. Santa Maria Bonita Elementary School District. And you see that about 78.7% of this population is Hispanic or Latino. So this could be a good community to work with, particularly as it relates to 1,3-D. So that is something that you can do with this map, a question that you could ask. And then the last thing I'll say is that if you're interested in learning more about a particular chemical, you can go to the top of this page where it says search chemicals or products, and you can type in 1,3-dichloropropene and click search, find the appropriate pesticide, and then it'll give you a lot of amazing information about the particular chemical of interest. And that's what I have for you all. Thank you.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much to both of you, Juvenio and Sakura, for great presentations on really, really helpful tools. So in the last few minutes that we have, I want to open it up for questions. Any questions that folks have, please go ahead and raise your hand. So we'll just give a minute, maybe while we're waiting in case folks have some thoughts on it. Do we have any questions in the chat, Mark? Or are we good so far? No questions. Okay. Yeah, does anyone have any questions or comments that they want to make on these tools? Feel free to raise your hand now. Give it just a minute. Kathleen, please unmute yourself and go ahead.
Thanks, Sarah. Juvenio, could you tell us a little bit more about the process by which chemicals are designated as restricted? I know it's equated with the most highly hazardous pesticides, but there are actually quite a few highly hazardous pesticides that are not restricted. So I know there's some history behind that. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Sure, I could give you a general idea. I don't have a lot of deep knowledge as far as the regulation, but I do want to clarify that these are California restricted materials, so they're different than what, say, US EPA would consider restricted, et cetera. So these are very specific to California, and California has different criteria. Actually, if let me double check. I think we may have just uploaded that question to the FAQ. Let me just double check for you. Um, sorry, just let me.
I'll just mention
Yep.
while you're taking a look. This
Mhm.
is sort of exactly the kind of thing that, like right now, again, this is a globally precedent-setting tool. So this is exactly the kind of thing that we want to identify to flag for DPR as like maybe additional information that if it's not already there, we can get added to share with the public. So very much, even if it's not there, this is a continually evolving tool at the moment, and we want to make it as strong as possible. So, Huveni, I don't know if you found anything that you wanted to share with the group or not.
Um, I'm not finding any information about the specific process of how something gets deemed restricted material. I know there is some information available that I can follow up and get you. What I can say is that we do have information on the site as to what it means to use restricted materials. These have to be used by a licensed applicator. They need special permits, special training. So we do have a long list of all of the requirements that have to be met for anybody who is intending to use these kinds of materials. And of course, they have to notify their county ag commissioner with a notice of intent, which is primarily the reason why we're able to provide this info ahead of time to the public. So we do have a lot of that kind of info as to what they are on the website. I don't think we have, I'll have to double check. I'm not sure if we have anything specific about the process yet, but I can definitely look into that, get back to you on that if you like. And then if it's not already on our FAQ section, I can suggest it if that's something that folks are interested in knowing as far as the actual process of qualifying something as restricted. So
Yeah, Huveni, I think that would be great. I know that's come up a fair amount, I think, within our coalition. And it also just points to the fact that this is not a static tool in addition to like ongoing improvements. Um, Active ingredients are designated as restricted material pesticides that can change, and active ingredients can get added to that list, at which point they would kick into this notification system. So there's also the possibility for expansion of this system to additional pesticides, which I know as a coalition we would be interested in seeing. So I think a really important question, Kathleen, and we can work with DPR to see if we can get some additional information for the public around kind of what that restricted material pesticide designation process is. Are there any additional questions or comments? Have folks been able to kind of get onto the site, onto these sites themselves? Hoping that's a yes. I'll give one more minute for any additional questions. Karen, I see your hand up. If you want to unmute yourself.
Yes, since T-Lone 13D was raised, I'm curious about the process because I understand that it was initially banned in California from 1990 to 1995, and then expanded use was allowed. And it's, of course, in current concern with lawsuit in Monterey County. Particularly T-Lone 13D and chlorpyrifos, I believe it is, and its use near schools. So I'm wondering if you could comment about the history of how and why it was banned and how CDPR rationalized its use again, even though EU nations ban it currently. And how do you look at what the rest of the world is doing in the science that they provide in terms of reviewing that and other chemicals again?
Karen, I might jump in on this one. Houvenia, it sounds like you might have something to say as well, but I might jump in here because this training is a little more focused on the spray days tool itself. So I think what you're saying is incredibly important. And Californians for Pesticide Reform has been working on 13D to try and get stronger regulations, or California. Ideally, our push has been trying to ban, and if not, get it as restricted as possible, according to the protective standards as identified by the scientific agency OEHA. But I would love to talk with you a little bit more offline about kind of where that's at. But just in terms of this meeting, that's an incredibly detailed history, and where that is, and definitely share your concerns. It's really important to community members. But Houvenia, is there anything that you wanted to just touch on? But I just wanted to flag, I know that's not the focus of the today's meeting. But Karen would definitely like to talk with you further about it and see how we can be more involved.
Yeah, no, there's definitely a lot of detailed in that history and context that I don't have. Personally, I'm still fairly new to DPR. So my personal experience has just been some of the recent hearings we had this year, for example, on 13D. And I know we have some press releases and other information that has some background info on our website that we released this year. So I could provide links to those 13D press releases and documents that we have on our website. But as far as to the long history of this, I personally do not have much knowledge, but I can definitely get you some additional materials from our site.
And Karen, really important, again, very important subject. So appreciate you raising it. Just want to give folks an opportunity to ask any questions specific to these tools for today.
Thank you. And I'd just like to also comment, I caught a portion of this presentation, but I'm so glad that I caught what the Pesticide Action Network leader there presented. It's such helpful information that I will glean from, because I did not have that specific information. I think it's extremely important for the public. So thank you for your work, and thank you for this time.
Thank you.
Thanks so much. I know we've just got a few minutes left. Is there any additional question? If not, I will do a quick wrap up. Number one, please reach out to us if you do have questions following this, or you try and register and you're struggling, or any issues that you find with spray days, with any of these tools. Like, please feel free to get in touch with us. We want to support and make sure these tools are as strong as possible. But I really want to thank everyone for attending, and a really big shout out, especially to Juvenio and also to Secura for these really masterful presentations of fairly a lot of detail that you have to get through in a short amount of time. Really clear, really well done. I'm very grateful for that. As well as thanks to Mark for kind of monitoring the chats, and to Jane for being ready in the background to help with logistics. We really do hope that this training has been helpful for understanding how you and community members you work with can use spray days, and also use the Pesticide Explorer and mapping tool as well. They're both really critical. And I will note that after this training, I will be following up with everyone here, as well as those who weren't able to attend. I know we had about 50 people registered, so I'm sure some folks would be interested in the recording. But we'll be sending around a brief survey just to get feedback on the presentations, and also see if you have any additional questions. And if you're interested and haven't been particularly involved in pesticide issues, but are interested in getting more involved, we'll also give you an opportunity to get more connected with us that way. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining our trainings. Thanks again to the presenters, and have a great rest of your day.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Excellent presentation.